Good morning. I'm absolutely delighted to be here in London to welcome you all to the 2016 Innovation Summit on the Competitiveness of Sustainable Cities. We're very honored that so many of you have traveled from around the world to come together with us in this great global city of London to explore the tremendous opportunities and challenges of competitiveness, sustainable cities, as we all navigate together a world that is characterized by turbulence, transition, and profound transformation. And indeed, we could not have convened this summit in a city more symbolic and more at the cutting edge of the great promise, potential, and reality of city competitiveness, city innovation, city resiliency, and city greatness. Founded in 2010, the GIS2016 is a unique constellation of leaders who've come together to shape new global competitiveness policies, but more importantly, a new global competitiveness compact, a growing movement to improve the competitiveness landscape and conditions for inclusive growth and prosperity in their own nations, in their own regions, and very importantly, to band together to promote the policies and actionable initiatives that can accelerate global trade and investment, build the innovation capacity, and the policies that will stimulate and enable high-value job creation, all of which is at the very heart of sustainable economic development for future global prosperity and security. Composed of leaders of the world's competitiveness councils, presidents of premier universities and research institutions, government leaders, corporate executives, and other organizations, the GIS2016 is the first global network devoted to sharing emerging knowledge, proven best practices, and co-creating new collaborative global initiatives and partnerships to shape competitiveness strategy and advocate together the next generation policies we must put in place in order to jumpstart a new era of productivity and, very importantly, to jumpstart global growth in a world of stagnant growth. The GIS2016 members have generated a rich base of knowledge, practice, and experience from which councils and economic stakeholders and political leaders from around the world can learn, leverage, and build upon. We're a growing network. We're spreading our wings around the world, and we are increasing our new innovative models for engagement and platforms for collaboration that have real, tangible impact. We are very proud that since our inception, the GIS2016 has been led by a truly visionary leader, Mr. Chad Holliday, the chairman of Royal Dutch Shell and chairman emeritus of the U.S. Council on Competitiveness during his tenure as the CEO and chairman of DuPont. And I will be asking Chad shortly to come up and make some remarks. In addition to the many GIS2016 members here today, we're honored to be joined by our group, our fabulous group of distinguished fellows. These individuals from around the world have sterling records of accomplishment in business and government and academia and research. And they're not only are experts in many, many fields, and they're leading edge thinkers, but they are dedicated doers who are bringing their tremendous insight, advice, and energy to the work of the GIS2016. So I'd like to just briefly ask all the members of the GIS2016 and our fellows to just stand up so that we can collectively recognize you and applaud you for your commitment to the global competitiveness movement represented here today. Thank you. The GIS2016 is very proud that our host and partner here in London for this summit on sustainable competitiveness cities is the president and leader of one of the UK's crown jewels, truly a world-class global research university, home to a stunning array of capabilities across the frontiers of the great science and technology revolutions of our times. The Times Higher Education World University ranks Imperial College at number 3 in Europe and the 8th in the world, and I think you are all extremely fortunate here in London to have as the recently installed president of Imperial College, Dr. Alice Gast, and I will be asking Alice shortly to come up as well. Thank you, Alice, and your brilliant team for making this summit happen. So we all know that the state of the world's cities has rocketed to the forefront of economic agendas around the world. The world is undergoing the largest wave of urban growth in human history. Today, more than half of the world's population lives in urban areas, a share expected to increase to 2/3 by 2050. In 2014, there were 28 megacities. By 2030, the number of megacities is expected to grow to 41. The urban population is expected to increase from about 4 billion to more than 6 billion people by 2045. When the GFCC met last year for our annual meeting, we were hosted by our board member, Prince Saud Al Faisal, the acting governor of the Saudi Government Investment Authority, in King Abdullah Economic City, one of the new emerging planned cities of the world. And our theme was 21st century infrastructure. And at the heart of that discussion, cities emerged as really the linchpin for so much of what we must do in the world to develop the value creation to improve human life, human capacity, and human happiness. And that is why we chose this theme for our 2016 annual meeting. We know cities account for close to 2/3 of the world's energy consumption and more than 70% of global greenhouse gas emissions. To deal with the challenges of environmental stewardship and climate mitigation, we must focus on cities. Many of the fastest growing urban areas lie in the emerging and rapidly developing world, in countries that urgently need energy for economic development, driving the growth in both world energy consumption and, of course, carbon emissions. We know that cities have always been the locus for the drivers and the imagination of human innovation, both in terms of creating an enabling environment for creativity, invention, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And also, cities have been the platforms for future innovation to meet future needs, many of which are not recognized at the time in which the innovators are living, but because of their brilliance and in the environment that enables them to think and create, those cities have been the platforms for the future we live in now and in years to come. We need to have sustainable urban environments and resilient urban environments, which require new and scalable innovations. We are poised now, at this point in human history, to really deliver transformative, human-centered solutions at every scale. And today, our conversations around how this can be nurtured and driven and implemented in cities cannot be a more important topic. Our team of the Global Federation and a brilliant group at Imperial College developed 4 really exciting themes for our discussions. The first is the seamless city. The city as a thriving, pulsing place with many moving parts, peoples, goods, water and energy, capital, vehicles, ideas, and transactions, all converging on infrastructure, multi-layered networks, with many stakeholders involved in their establishment, management, operation, and of course, use. We will discuss today how can we optimize these parts of cities, public and private, as they flow, and flow from one to the other, integrating them into a seamless city that is efficient and where energy and all resources are fully optimized for movement, value, cost efficiency, services to citizens, and pleasure to citizens. With today's technologies, such as sensors, communications, the Internet of Things, really the Internet of everything, data analytics, innovative design, modeling and simulation, we have the tools now to get close to this ideal. We have to bring all the stakeholders and asset holders together to work across the city in a seamless way. The evolving city is our second theme. As we know from across the millennia of human civilization, and from the onset of the first complex cities that emerged well over 5,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia and on the Nile in Egypt, and moving into the Levant and the Aegean world and elsewhere, in China, in the Harappan Indus Valley, moving into Mesoamerica, that cities have always been growing, contracting, populating, depopulating, shifting in their economic and industrial composition, with sunsetting or sunrising industries, with cultures that emerge and that shift and that change, and with unforeseen consequences that arise from natural disasters, natural developments, and of course, geopolitical shifts in power and prestige. To thrive and renew its existence, the evolving, changing city must be resilient to external and internal opportunities, pressures. It must adapt. It must show a willingness to do new things, just like a human being must show willingness to do new things in order to thrive and really to maintain and grow its relevance and value. We will explore today the potential for innovations in infrastructure and other technologies that can help embed resilience into the core DNA of our cities. Cities that are living, vibrant, where people live, work, create, and play. The well city is our third theme. We know it is a city with a good quality of life in the broadest sense of the word, that can attract, retain, and grow the talent and intellectual capital needed for the innovation frontiers, for the entrepreneurship, and the competitiveness businesses and workforce productivity that create wealth and a standard of living for all citizens. We will explore how new technology, new infrastructure, design, and new models and management techniques can address the health and sustainability of cities and help solve, again, these challenges at a large scale, also at a small scale, with people-centric solutions. And finally, the free city. We know that cultural, gender, racial, ethnic, and religious freedom are unparalleled for human innovation and for the human spirit. Greater ideation, innovative solutions, broader perspectives, diversity of insight, and diversity of decision-making are at the heart of city competitiveness. Throughout history and today, the world's most creative hubs, the cities that have become the veritable crossroads of cultures and national identities, were refined and developed and influenced with new ideas and disruptive ideas brought from people from around the world. Indeed, the cities that became the cauldrons of creativity were the great cities that shaped our civilizations around the world. And Londinium, starting as a port, as a center of Roman culture, really constitutes, in my view, an ultimate expression of that reality. With the competition for intellectual capital being the oil of the 21st century, the ability of cities to access and attract and retain a diversity of the most educated and skilled and creative talent is not only a strategic imperative, but it is also the dynamic that will renew the spirit of a city and give a city its soul. In the Free City theme, we will explore how to promote this diverse, multi-talented workforce, how to encourage the entrance of new people into leadership structures, and how to think and create on the institutional realities that will enable the free city to flourish and prosper. Indeed, we will explore what will be the differentiator in the competitive advantage of cities based on the freedom of city life and creativity. Today, we will also have 4 solution sessions to identify and develop concrete things we can do to address these challenges and opportunities in the seamless, evolving, well, and free city. And we ask all of you to join us in that conversation, to share your ideas, and take part in creating these solutions.